Hey there, I, Sam Valentino, private tune detective, am not feeling so hot because that corrupt business hood David Zaslav has outwitted us once again. You may recall 3 months ago when it was announced that Coyote vs. Acme would be shelved as a tax write-off in the usual Zaslav fashion. And after that, when the film's cast and crew protested along with the huge public outcry on social media, Warner Brothers Discovery planned to sell it to another distributor, with such potential buyers including Amazon, Netflix, and even Paramount. But Warner was looking to get $75 to $80 million for the deal, and he rejected the other distributor's counteroffers. A friend of mine, and he has even speculated with his own detective work, that Warner just said that to get all of us off their backs for a while, playing us for patsies again, like that whole thing last year when they purged many of the classic Looney Tunes cartoons from the Max streaming service. And now things look really bleak, and the movie's on the verge of being deleted. David Zaslav and the other executives even skipped the special private screenings of the movie. And again, my good friend Wile E. Coyote himself refuses to appear in this vlog. He's so angry and upset about the ordeal, he's locked himself in his den again for the time being. I still have a horrible feeling Zaslav really hates animation overall, not just the Looney Tunes. Of course, since he came from Discovery Communications, it may not be remotely surprising. I remember a couple early promos for Discovery Kids in 2000 advertised showing fun reality and edutainment live action shows for children on weekend mornings as opposed to the traditional cartoons.
Still watching cartoons on weekend mornings? Time to wake up. Think all your friends are watching cartoons on the weekend? Get real.
And then shows like those started appearing on the major networks and helped kill off Saturday morning cartoons. Save Me TV's recent Saturday cartoon block. At least Bugs Bunny at Friends is doing pretty well in that block. Of course, and then ironically, Discovery Kids would start to air some animated content, especially when they became the hub in 2010. And over airing the hit series My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Still rerun to this day on that network of other cartoons, now called Discovery Family, including the classic Looney Tunes on weekdays. But that's besides the point. People are now comparing all this to Space Jam, A New Legacy from nearly 3 years ago, given that movie had an evil algorithm villain that was damaging Warner Brothers' legacy and threatened to delete the Looney Tunes. While it wasn't the greatest thing the Tunes have done in recent years, it's kind of freaky how it was prophetic. Also, and the way that movie even poked fun at the Looney Tunes downfall of the 2000s when CGI was eclipsing them in popularity, which is why the algorithm rendered them in CGI for the basketball game, and most of the Tunes hated it. And what's worse, unlike Batgirl, Coyote vs. Acme has been pretty much fully completed and in the can. And if Zaslav does delete it, he could be facing a big lawsuit. That would be very ironic, given the movie's plot. Or this could lead to another strike, especially since there are already tensions with the Animation Guild over the use of AI art in animation, similar to the writers and actors strike last year. And despite them seemingly winning, we're still getting AI used in the media. I don't really support it. Let's look at these attempts to render me an AI, though a couple of my followers had them made for me, and I do appreciate the gesture. After all, it's the thought that counts. But back to the topic at hand. That David Zaslav boob is such a corrupt bindle punk that's hurting Warner Bros. Animation's legacy. It's gotten to the point where he's like my own Professor Moriarty. I mean, yeah, it's more of a Sherlock Holmes thing, as hard-boiled private detectives like me rarely have such arch-enemies, but it seems to be that way. I've even put Zaslav on my suspect list for the disappearance of Copley at Anthem, New England. I also have the possible theory that Zaslav could really be an evil, maniacal toon wearing a human disguise, like that Judge Doom in his dip. Even the Looney Tunes voice actor Eric Bauza, the voice of Wile E. in Coyote vs. Acme, has made that connection. And if Coyote vs. Acme does get deleted, never to be released, I only hope at least one of the film's animators or editors or whatever made a backup of it. I mean, a backup is what saved Toy Story 2 after someone accidentally deleted most of the film's animation files when putting in a wrong command. And a technical director at Pixar had a backup copy of the film while working at it on home during her maternity leave. And then last year, Disney laid her off, since I mentioned that they too are currently going through very similar hard times. How Pixar hasn't had a real big hit in a while. Evil Elemental's a mild success. But at least they haven't done something as drastic as what David Zaslav is doing to Warner Bros. Discovery. Even Zach Wolf frequently makes backups of his computer systems and his audio-visual projects and raw footage and such, especially since such hard drives are gotten bigger and cheaper. But he's a computer expert, not me. But this is getting really bad, with the Looney Tunes once again facing danger the way they did 20 years ago, when Looney Tunes Back in Action bombed at the box office, setting off a chain reaction of events that led to them facing the risk of becoming as forgotten as the Terry Tunes or whatever. And speaking of theatrical movies, the Looney Tunes cartoon animated feature The Day the Earth Blew Up is still slated for a fall 2024 theatrical release. But cinemas aren't doing so hot lately. No thanks is still coming off after the COVID-19 pandemic from a few years ago. And there aren't as many box office successes lately. Although Warner Bros. Wonka has made over $550 million at the box office. But I doubt that would be enough to save Coyote vs. Acme. And they still have debts to pay off. But I'm also reminded of last year when Warner Bros. Discovery claimed Scooby-Doo and Crypto 2 will never be released as another tax write-off, and it shortly got leaked online. Now, months later, after the Barbie movie was a huge box office smash, Warner was able to give that Scooby movie an official release on disc and streaming. Well, it's possible it wasn't really meant to be cancelled, like the leak happening before the announcement scaring Warner Bros. Discovery into calling it off. But if Coyote vs. Acme does get permanently shelved, we can only hope that it too gets leaked. On the Paramount side of things, the fourth SpongeBob SquarePants film, Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie, similarly got leaked since they scrapped plans to release it theatrically, though Netflix actually plans to stream it in the future. And I'm sure a lot of you recall how a few months ago, when Paramount Global was looking for a potential buyer for their company, David Zaslav and Warner Bros. Discovery also looked to buy them and create another big merger. But thankfully, Paramount turned down their offer, as this could lead to an even bigger mess that would really hurt Hollywood. Given how Paramount Global does nothing with the aforementioned Terry Tunes. I'd hate to think what could happen to the classic cartoon properties Warner owns if such a merger happened. We can now only hope that David Zaslav gets sued, or something else that really gets him in hot water and ultimately leads him leaving Warner Brothers, saving the studio and the Looney Tunes. Until then, I'm going to keep my eyes and ears open for any leads on this, and you should all do so as well. We will not let the Looney Tunes die! Especially since I've had a few of my clients over the years.